If you're involved in soccer in Western New York, then you know John Netter. For years, he's been involved in every aspect of the game: player, coach, manager, and referee. John has done it all. A player and manager for his beloved BDSL team, Queenston FC, a player and coach for FC Buffalo, a coach for Amherst Soccer Association, and I guarantee you he's issued you a yellow card at some point because he's a referee. He's reffed high school. He's reffed college. He's reffed JSL. He's reffed BDSL. He's done it all. Oh, and by the way, in his spare time, he's probably booked your training sessions at Sportsplex. John, thank you so much for coming on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
How did your love for soccer begin? You're a Wheatfield boy, correct? So where did that journey start for you?
That's true. I probably started playing soccer when I was a youth kid looking for Northtown Soccer Club. And then I just did the house program. When I was about 15, 16, our team started to get kind of defunct, and we actually moved up to Niagara Pioneer to play there. My buddy's dad was a coach, and I had a couple good friends that played there. And that's actually when I started playing goal, was like 14, 15 range. I never really got any legit goalie training or anything like that. And then I lived at the time like 10 minutes away from Sportsplex, so I started working there. And then honestly, like my college years are really when I started to really like it. Like I was a decent goalie in high school, but I think I was third team all NFL, and there's only 8 teams at the time, so that's not anything to write home about. And then from like 18 to 23, I probably played at Sportsplex like 3-4 nights a week. Was reffing there as well, and basically lived there, and still do a little bit, but not as much anymore. And just I felt myself get such better as a goalkeeper in those ages because I played so much. With the field being so small, you got a lot of action, which as a goalie, obviously the psychology of that is something we can get into later, but you know, having a lot of that action really got you to be a better goalkeeper, really work on your form, really make yourself big, so to speak, and just put yourself in a good spot to save as many shots as you can.
When we're talking goalkeeping, are we talking more about the psychology of goalkeeping, or are we talking about technique, or is it a little of both when you're training those up and coming goalkeepers?
When it's like when you're training probably 16s and below, it's just getting them technique, like them making getting in the collapse side, learning the front smothers, learning all those little dives is going to make them save a lot of the stuff. When you get older, it's a lot about the psychology, because it takes a weird person, I guess, or a different person, I guess, to want to stand in front of a shot that these guys are blasting, trying to maybe hit you sometimes, and you somehow have to get a piece of it. Sometimes you can't even see the ball when it's hit at you, and you somehow get a piece of it, and it's a thing. I guess the psychology is kind of important at the younger ages, just because like you have to be there for them and know that, like, okay, Jimmy, just because you got scored on 20 times, you also made 20 saves. But
yeah,
I don't really think no matter what you tell them, if they don't like it, they just won't like it. But I think that's one of the reasons that I've started to get into more goalkeeper training, is because I have so many like 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds that probably never had any kind of goalkeeper training. I mean, they're only 7, 8, 9, 10. Had like their coaches don't really do any goalkeeping training. And I'm not taking any digs at a coach, because I was a coach too. Like I coached youth league for a while, and you have, 15, 20 other kids that you're worrying about per session. The last thing you could do is turn your back on all the other kids and go train your 1 or 2 goalies. And
exactly.
Hey, so, at the end of practice, you shoot on them and you think that's goalkeeper training. And then the kids are trying to score, the goalkeeper's trying to save the ball. And then your coach is like, oh, well, if you guys score 10 goals, then nobody has to do laps. And then the goalie's over there like, so am I supposed to save the ball? Because if I save the ball, then all my teammates are going to hate me. But if I let the ball in, then I'm not getting any better, and then I look like crap. So kind of, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah. I mean, it's such a specialized position, but the majority of teams don't have a goalkeeper coach like an FC Buffalo might have. When we're talking about youth soccer, I'm sure there's a lot missed. What are those things that head coaches just don't have the time for because they're dealing with field players?
A lot of it is just like making sure they're moving forward as they make a save, trying to get them from dropping to both knees. And honestly, like, it's hard because at the younger ages, you want them to save the ball. But if they're saving the ball and their body's flying all over the place and they're rolling over on their back, like that's actually doing them more harm in the long run. So a lot of the time that I spend with the 13s, 14s down is just doing the simple collapse side where you take a power step forward and you fall on your side and you're not landing on your elbow, you're not landing on your stomach, you're not rolling over on your back, because those are the saves that you want them to make. And I try not to even teach them. I try not to even teach them punting because they can't do it at the younger ages, and it's kind of a dying art nowadays too. I try not to teach them a lot about the high balls at that age because, no offense, if the kid's short, the ball's going to go in. If it goes over his head, they're not going to be able to jump that high at 9, 10 years old. As we get older, and I have my program that I do, or when we're with FC Buffalo or whatever, like obviously we get a lot into the high balls and crosses because that's a big piece of the game as you get older. Like people have set piece plays, people have corner kick plays. Like you have to be able to attack the ball off your line, and just kind of be ready for that because if you're timid or you're going off your line but you shouldn't be, or you're running into players, like those are just going to result in set piece goals, which at the higher ages and the higher levels, like one goal literally decides a lot of games. And if that's coming off of a set piece because of your mistake, at the end of the day, we get back to the psychology piece. You could have made 30 saves that game that were all fantastic, and you go out for one ball or you make one mistake, you don't, and odds are it leads to a goal, and then everybody's kind of looking at you.
At the when we're talking U10s, are you teaching them a proper dive? Because obviously we don't want someone to dive improperly and then hurt themselves.
Yeah, but we call it collapse diving. So all it really is like you take a step with whatever way you're going, and then your body just kind of falls to the ground, and it's like your hips hit, and then your arm hits, and then the ball hits. And so it's not like, they're not doing a belly flop on the ground. Well, at least they shouldn't be. And they're not just dropping to both knees like you see a lot of people do. So that's really the stuff I teach. Is just like, hey, take that little step forward, fall on your hip, and then you fall on your arm. And if I can do it weighing 250 pounds, being 6'6", and it not hurt me, this little kid should be able to do it. So once they get to learn that, then honestly, I don't even, when I watch their games, I don't even care if they save the ball or not. Like if they're just doing that and maybe the ball rolls under them, like at that age, that's good enough. Obviously their coach is going to think differently, but once they grow into their body, which, depends on the age, girls usually hit like 12 to 14, boys might hit like 14 to 16. Once they get into their body and they start being able to jump higher and all that kind of stuff, they already know that stuff and they can just apply it a lot better.
Because it's almost like everyone's a field player when you've never touched a ball before, and them transitioning to be like, you know what, I think I might want to try goalkeeping. I remember when I was coaching modified girls at the Pew, 7th, 8th, 9th graders, it was almost a struggle just to get a goalkeeper, first of all. So how do you start with the youth players who think they might want to get into it, and then do you get a lot of people dropping off after someone shoots a real hard shot at them? What's that like?
I would almost compare it to like when you first start refereeing. Like if you don't have the support and somebody there for you that you can like lean on, you're probably gonna hate it, right? Like if you step onto the field to referee your first game and some dad yells at you and you turn around and nobody's coming to your back, like probably not. Like
right.
Similar with goalkeeping. If somebody blasts the ball at your face and your coach just tells you to save the ball, like you're done too. When I was younger, I never really went to any goalkeeper training programs, and I don't think there was as many available as there are now. And there's still not a lot available now. Like it's me. I think Marcelo does some. Rudy Pompert used to do some, but he's kind of faded out.
Yeah.
Flash has some people, and it's so hard because like in the winter months, I mean, you have Salem's, Epic, and Sportsplex. Maybe some other fields like Lincoln and stuff like that you can go to, but like turf rental is expensive. So if you're doing group training, that's really the only way you can make it to be like worth it monetarily, money wise. And if you're doing 1v1 stuff, like you can't charge $100 an hour, and that wouldn't even cover the field almost sometimes. But like it's a big support thing, like knowing that you can go there and tell them the rules. My program that I do at Sportsplex is, I think it comes out to like $20 a week or something like that. So if people reach out to me, and I've had a ton of people reach out, like, hey, just come for the first week, and then if they like it, we can prorate the rest of the session. If you don't like it, you don't have to play goalie again. But the one thing I like to be honest, because like it is not an attractive position. Like you are getting the ball hammered at you. You are trying to make yourself big and could get hit in some areas that you don't want to get hit in, face, private parts, all that kind of stuff. And you just kind of have to suck it up. Like, you're gonna, no matter what you do, the good saves you make, a lot of people are going to judge you based off of those couple mistakes you make in a game, because You know, if you're the striker on your team and you go on 12 breakaways and you score one, they're like, oh my God, this is God's gift to the world. What about the other 11? But as a goalkeeper, it's literally the complete opposite. Like, if you let in one easy goal, even though you made 11 great saves, like, most people are going to look at you like, what'd you do? You just let us down. We do cover the mindset a little bit, but it's hard to do that in training sessions compared to a game because they're just like completely different, scenarios. But I like to tell people, like, hey, this position is not for everybody. Like, you are putting in a very vulnerable spot. A lot of people are going to blame you. There's a lot of pressure on you. I mean, I couldn't even take my own goal kicks in high school. I had to have somebody else take them because I couldn't kick them to half field. So,
Right.
like, all the training that I do to people, like, I constantly remind them, like, I was not a good goalkeeper until I was like 19, and then I just got a lot better after that. And like, I still feel like I'm getting better. Some things have dropped off, obviously, as you get to like 30
Right.
years old, but you just learn to play a lot smarter. And I'm just happy to still be playing, even at 10:30 at night at Sportsplex on a Thursday when I try out there and everybody else is in their mid to low 20s, and I'm looking at my 34th birthday coming soon.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, it's a blessing. Keep it going as long as you can.
Yeah, and that's the one good thing too is, like, as a goalkeeper, you do have kind of a longer shelf life, which is nice. So like, even though I didn't start being good till I was in college, like, I also feel like I could play for another 5, 6, 7 years competitively, even in Premier, and not really hurt my team at all, and still help them and enjoy that.
Walk me through your experience with FC Buffalo. This is great because not only were you a player when they were in the MPSL, I believe, but you were also a coach there for a few years as well, right?
Yeah, and I will we'll put an asterisk next to the player part. I think I played in 8 minutes of one game.
Oh,
It was when I was in my mid-20s. Like I said, I wasn't amazing. I was still coaching. I was coaching a Niagara Pioneer team, I think, at the time. I was reffing a lot and then playing Queenston. So for me, like, that's all I really cared about. Like, I didn't think I was going to go to the next level at all. Like, playing semi-pro really wasn't even that much on my radar. They got to the end of one of the seasons, and I knew the owners very well. I think Scott Fraunhofer was there. Nick was still there, I believe. And I think the coach was Frank Butcher at the time. And they had a couple keepers. I think one got injured. One might have had one had to go back to Canada to get treatment or something like that. Another one just kind of stopped coming, and they reached out. And it was mostly for like training purposes. They barely even had a goalkeeper to do training stuff. And I was like, all right, like, yeah, if I train for a couple weeks with you guys, and then if I play a game, I don't really care. And then I think we got to one of the last few minutes of one of the games, and we were up like 3 or 4-0. I think we were out of playoffs, and they put me in, and I was so nervous, even for 8 minutes. I think I kept the shutout, so at least I could say I didn't get scored on semi-pro, even though.
well, there you go. Hey, it's something, right?
Yeah, and then I was still playing a lot. I was still coaching regular teams a lot, and then the last couple of years, like, I love coaching at the youth level. Not a lot of my friends do it anymore, so it's kind of tough. Before we were spending the weekends going to like Ohio together, and we'd go out of town for a tournament, and it's just like a fun little getaway. But now most of my like friends that were doing it are kind of out of it. So I've actually given up regular coaching and refereeing, and just gonna play as much as I can, and then also just grow my goalkeeper program, and just kind of do that with summer and the fall. So.
At some point you realize that you can't do everything all the time, so these next couple questions are because you do everything. You're a player, you're a coach, you're a goalkeeper coach, you've done stuff with Amherst, you've managed your BDSL team. I'm curious to know now, does your behavior on the sidelines as a coach, does that, like at Amherst or anywhere on the youth level or being a goalkeeper coach, does that ever change because you've worn the whistle yourself as a referee?
100%. I mean, I guess in general, I'm kind of a lower key person. Like, it kind of does take a lot to rile me up, especially on the field. But like, seeing the predicaments I get put into when I was refereeing college and everything like that, especially college games because they're so intense, just like, it really gave me a new look at the game, and just really putting stuff into like what's important or not. And I started refereeing when I was like 13 years old. Like,
Yeah.
refereeing at that young, like between your 12 and 17, even like 12 and 19 years, like refereeing at that age, it does wonders for like making you grow up. Like, you have a schedule that you have to like adhere to. Like, you have to block off dates. You have to think further out in advance than you would. You have to deal with people that are in very angry scenarios without also getting angry. Like, you have to be professional even though you're 14 years old. Like, it puts you in very precarious spots that makes you grow up. And I credit that to a lot of like being in managerial roles in a lot of aspects of my life. I mean, sometimes it gets to you for sure. You're just like, I want to go out there and not care and say something to this dude, but that's just
Right.
That's just not how I am. But you listen to like coaches losing on a referee about a throw-in call, and it's just like, in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter at all. You're also just teaching your 12-year-old team that it's okay to scream at referees. And I know plenty of coaches that have started a referee, and they'll be like, "Netter, dude,
Yep.
I have so much respect to you. This is so hard." They'll like text me asking me questions, and I'm like, "Dude, I will gladly help you. What I don't care about now in my life is going out there and actually doing it." So, I was texting a couple of my buddies that are still reffing the college unit, and I was like, "I'm very excited this fall to like go watch a Buff State Fredonia game in the stands and bring popcorn. Maybe I'll bring you guys a drink at halftime or something like that."
Exactly.
But, maybe one of the goalies I coach is playing for Buff State or something like that, or one of the guys I used to coach plays at a college in New York now, and go watch one of their games and not have to be stressed out about giving up my entire Saturday, getting there an hour early, running around in the field, which you get paid well for college refereeing, but it's stressful. It's a 6, 7, 8 hour block of your time that you're getting paid a couple $100 for. Like, it doesn't come out to that much per hour. But yeah, I think I really recommend it to younger kids, and I think the board, including myself, or the ref board, is really doing a lot to make it more appealing to people. Like, they're on social media now, they're having meetings, like they're putting stuff out there. They've grown their mentor program a ton, so they're taking money that the leagues and assigners get and kind of putting it back into, like, putting a senior referee on the line and giving a ton of tips to somebody that just started, or paying somebody whatever amount of money to come to a tournament and they go around and float around and watch games. And you're getting that feedback from a higher level official, someone who's been around the block, and just gives you little tips of advice. And some of the stuff is so simple to like think about, but it like helps you a lot. For example, not putting the whistle to your mouth every time you think you're going to blow for a foul and then not blowing it, because now it just looks like, okay, well, you thought about something that was a foul and you now didn't think it was a foul. So just like something as small as that, and they just some of them take your feedback very well, some of them don't, and they can move on how they want.
I was talking to Steph Serrano from the unit just a few weeks ago, and she was saying how, while yes, technology has changed, and now every move you make, like you said, putting the whistle to your mouth and not blowing it, everyone's seeing it now. So, and then they're posting and they're talking about it. You look at NFL referees. Every breath they take is just scrutinized. But there are, what Steph mentioned is, there's such a support from the unit because they talk to you about these scenarios. They go over these scenarios in those meetings.
They cover a lot of stuff that can happen in the game, and I guess one of the beauties of it is just like playing a soccer game, like you never know what's going to happen, right? So they can show as many PowerPoint slides as they want. You can take as many quizzes as you want. You can practice and train as much as you want. Like, there's always stuff that happens in games that you just have to, adjust to. And I guess that's the beauty, and that's why everybody loves the game so much. And that part doesn't change whether you're reffing, coaching, playing, goalkeeper training, whatever. There's always stuff that like comes up that you just have to pivot on.
What position in soccer, player, coach, manager, referee, has changed you the most, would you say, as a person?
That is tough, because they've all kind of done their little things. Managing a team has probably made me hate soccer the most. Chasing people down, ordering all the jerseys, trying to get people to mark their attendance, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Give me money,
Yeah, give me money. It's like, are you even coming tonight? Like, have you done anything? I think playing as a goalkeeper has affected my life the most. Like, refereeing helps you a lot. But you're just like, you're in a not so loved position.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes a toll on people, for sure. I mean, I was doing it for 15 years, and I was like, this is like, I just don't need this in my life right now.
Right.
But growing up, great. Like, It was a good way to make money, to go out in the warm weather in the summer, obviously. I have lifelong friends that I will still continue to talk to from refereeing, and that won't change at all.
Yeah.
But I think just playing like really gives you. There is obviously pressure to playing,
Mhm.
but not as much as referee, I don't think, and not as much as a coach. There's so much off the field baloney that you have to deal with.
Mhm.
Making sure everybody marks their team snap, collecting the money, figuring out what tournaments you want to do, giving up your entire weekends. Whereas playing, like, you get to go there and you perform. And obviously, there's work that you have to do off the field, but like for that 2 hours or however long the game is, like, I found that the easiest for me to just like unplug from everything going on in my life in the world and just like focus on that game. And that's to me for that hour or 2 hours, that's the only thing that matters in my life.
Right.
And
Right.
it's, as you get, especially as you get older, like that's stuff you want to do. Like, work stressful, whatever stressful, and then you want to do activities where you throw your phone away and you are just 100% in the activity for that amount of time. And that's I think playing goalkeeper makes me feel that way the most.
Yeah. Are you still helping out the Stallions? Very exciting news a year ago was the fact that they brought in the NPSL team, to play those games out at North Tonawanda, of course, right next door to Sportsplex. That was huge news. How are the Stallions doing?
Yeah, so I only help out the Stallions youth goalkeeper. So I do
Oh, okay.
their 18 and below. I don't know if they have a U18 team, but I do all their youth trainer, the goalkeeping stuff, and that's like Monday, Thursdays at Sportsplex in the winter. Um, I don't help out the semi-pro team just because with that and FC Buffalo it's basically the same season.
Right.
But I do have a ton of really good friends. Obviously, the people that coach the youth club are basically running the NPSL club, and then a lot of the players on the NPSL club are guys that work at Sportsplex or that I've used to coach. I think I coached probably half that team at one point. So if I have a free night, I go watch the games. I'll talk to them about it. But it's I'm happy to see them. Like it just adds more competition to the area. It gives those players that are local and are homegrown just another opportunity to perform at that level. The NPSL is still a good level, especially for a guy like myself. Like I'm not going to join the team to play.
Right.
It just gives you maybe those guys that don't get a ton of play time during college. It gives them something to work towards in the summer, and then also more play time. And it also just keeps up that that atmosphere of being an athlete, especially like you see some of the guys that are post college, and you're like, why are you still doing this? And it's like, well, that's part of the fun of playing for this is like going and the tomfoolery that happens at practice or in the locker room, and the ball busting, all that kind of stuff that comes with it. Like,
Yeah.
and as much as you still get that a little bit in BDSL/Queenston, like guys barely show up 5 minutes before the game.
Right.
Way after, even though it's like 8 o'clock, they always have something to do. It's like, do you want to go grab wings? Like, do you want to do something else? And hey, we're coming from here. Oh, I was out of town for this weekend. Oh, I had this. And with the summers, it's hard because everybody's schedules are crazy. They're out of town all the time. So to get that environment for the NPSL, even for FC Buffalo full, where like guys go to practice, they hang out a lot, and then for those 2 months, like you really feel like you're almost at your school team, whether that be high school or college, and you're training 3-4 days a week, so you're seeing these guys a lot. Whereas some of the travel clubs, you're playing probably once and you're training maybe one or two, and then you're wearing a badge that's a travel club, which is not necessarily your school or high school or college. So, they all have their pros and cons a little bit.
So 2026, it's a big year. Buffalo Pro Soccer is also in the mix here. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what do you think about the prospect of getting professional soccer at the USL Championship level in the Western New York area?
I think it's awesome. I think it'll only help grow the area as well. I kind of put this to people sometimes, like bringing more teams in the area. There's always a fine line between like watering down the talent, but it's also like you look at the Boulevard Mall area. Well, maybe not the Boulevard Mall because that's just closed, but the Boulevard area, like you have all those restaurants in one space, and it just brings people into that area, and then they can decide what fits them the best. And it's similar here. If you're bringing people to Buffalo, well, you're getting them to stay here, you're getting them to play here, you're getting them to enjoy it, and you know what? There's a spot on the Stallions or FC Buffalo or Buffalo Pro Soccer. And that just depends on what level you're at, what commitment level you're at, all that kind of stuff. So I think bringing those in, and let's be honest, there's a ton of people that play soccer in Buffalo. There's a lot of colleges locally, and to have 3 teams that are semi-pro or above, like, it's not crazy. Obviously, Buffalo Pro being professional is going to bring in players and coaches from out of town, but they're still going to have to intermingle because that season is only going to be 3 to 4 months. So do the pro players stay here in the offseason? Do they get a job? Do they start in the coaching school? Like, that all will recycle back into the youth community as well. And excited for that. I mean, it's also a good thing to do in the summer, to go out there. I don't know exactly if they've decided on a stadium or anything yet, but, get everybody together, supporting one badge, and just going to see something that people are actually getting paid to play for. Like,
Right.
Buffalo's obviously great. Stallions are obviously great. But at the end of the day, the players are not getting paid. That's why they're not pros.
Right.
So it is a different level. And there are players at both those teams that probably could compete at that level. But bringing players in from out of town or whatever to compete at the pro level is going to challenge those people that are around here to either step it up, or maybe they're already at that level. They just haven't found the right fit yet.
What's next for you, John, in 2026? Is next up Queenston FC, or what's on deck for you?
Next few months, I'm just kind of trying to, eat a little bit better and hit the gym because I've kind of gained some weight in the last couple of years and want to get that off.
Very good.
But really excited for the Queenston season. I'm a little bit behind on roster and payments and stuff, but I'll get to that soon. Trying to plan some trips personally, and then also just kind of taking a step back and trying to figure out what I want to do with my goalie program, how I want to grow that. Obviously, the bigger it is, the better, but also, growing it bigger means I might have to have other coaches. Do I make it more legit and get an LLC? Like, how do we partner with colleges or whatever? And just kind of seeing how much free time I have for that. So excited, but also, a lot. And even tonight,
Right.
I have to do some sports by schedules, some soccer stuff, and make dinner. So, it's kind of nice relaxing in your own home, doing all that, but, always thinking for the next thing and trying to figure out, like, how you can better not only yourself, but also helping others. And looking at watching some of the kids that I like, even when I'm working at Sportsplex, I'll work like a Sunday shift and I'll walk around, and there's a U10 game going on the other day, and I look, and I think it was Niagara-Wheatfield versus Stallions, and I'm sitting there, and I was actually on the phone with my boss Justin at the time, and I kind of started laughing, and he's like, "What?" I was like, "This is pretty cool." Like, I'm looking at both goalies, and they're 10 years old, and the goalie for Niagara-Wheatfield and the goalie for Stallions are both kids that come to my goalie program. And I was like, "This is pretty cool." Like, they give you the little wave, and it's kind of nice just to know that you're making a positive impact on these kids' life and being somebody that they can look up to, like, not only on the field, but also off the field as well.
Exactly. Well, he's the man who does it all, John Netter. I appreciate you coming on today, and it was great talking to you. Next time I'm at Sportsplex, I'm going to swing by the desk.
Sounds good. There's probably a good chance I'm there.